Hey y'all, grown black folks talk. I was thinking about getting married this morning. And no, it's not what you think. I was thinking about my family history. Now, I knew at age 12 that I was not called to be someone who would chase men. I knew at age 12 I would not become what we disrespectfully refer to one another sometimes as a pick me, not understanding that's a normal part of human nature, particularly as we go through adolescence, to want to be included into the law. But whatever that was, I knew that I was not called to that. And from 39 to 43, I have been realizing the reason why. Um, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. But this morning, as I was in prayer, it's Sunday. Do you think I rely on church for any full sense of my worship and my connection with God? I do not. Going to church is part of, but it's only 4 hours a week, not the main thing. But it was brought back to my memory this morning about how my mother and my grandmother actually got married and the different phases in life they were in, and how this foolery gives the lie to what many of us have been told about our value as women. My grandmother couldn't have any children. There were some things that happened to her medically. She still got married a little bit later in life than was average for her day. Couldn't have any children. My grandfather valued her so much that he brought her whole family to California when she agreed to marry him. His family and her family, he organized all that and got everybody here and got him the house I'm sitting in so I have time to make these videos. And I don't have to work my fingers to the bone the way many other people do who do not have men who left them anything. My grandfather took care of his wife, 39 when they adopted my mother, his daughter, and his granddaughter. This is not taking anything away from my dad, though, who was on a mission the day he met my mother. Both of them having been fostered and taught by a lot of the same people, beginning with Dr. Desi Webster. That's a black woman, y'all. It's Women's History Month. Founder of the Fellowship Bible Institute, the first Bible institute of its time, founded by a black woman west of the Mississippi. They were both on a mission. Jim Jones had come through here in 1978, and both of them were deeply interested in making sure that they were able to defend their community going forward. And that's how they met. He walked up behind her in church and said, "Yeah, that's it. That's what I need." Because she understands things that I understand. Oh, you have same teachers? Your mother went to the same teacher that I have? Oh, okay. We're good now. They vetted him, or they vetted, but since she had a lot of the same, he had a lot of the same teachers. He knew the things that he needed to know to be the man he needed to be. So, my mother, beautiful woman. My grandmother, beautiful woman. But they weren't out here worried about what these men were thinking. They were doing what God called them to do. Both of them were college educated and stood out in their day of being found. They were different ages, going through different things at different times. They weren't worried about what men who had nothing to say and nothing to do in their lives thought about them, because men were talking foolishness back then as well. And let me tell you something else about being a Christian woman. God does not play about the marriage of his daughters. Grandmother's choice, the Lord gave him pneumonia. He was dumb enough to try to walk out in the rain to impress her, to try to see her. He had pneumonia and died. He would have kept her stuck. Nope. Her elder sister was in love with Herman Shaw. Herman Shaw had been infected by the Tuskegee experiment. We all were too done when Herman Shaw finally got himself a medal from Bill Clinton as one of the survivors. The Lord would not allow her to marry Herman Shaw. He would have killed her, not knowing, because he was part of the Tuskegee experiment. He lived to be 93 years old. There's no guarantee she would have. I can't even talk to y'all about one of my grandmother's other sisters. That's a whole situation. Had to flee to another state. But that man died in an insane asylum. But God does not play about his daughters. My mom turned down a man who wanted to make her the 16th baby mama. The older man chasing her, God took him. And she loved him, and God took him. I think about that sometime when I think about how much the death of Frank devastated me, but how if the Lord had not taken him, I'm not here ministering to you right now. I would have been living whatever life. But Frank was a good man. It wouldn't have been a bad life. He loved me, but it would have been far more limited than this. and how Sergeant Love was too old when he came into the picture. But see, he is still a good man, approaching the winter of his life now. I would not have regretted taking good care of him. I still do as much as I can. I wouldn't have regretted it. Good man who loved me, whom I love still deeply. Some of the more silly women would say, well, she's an alpha widow. Correct. None of the men talking like that would be worthy to kiss the bottom of this man's shoe after he walked through a sewage leak. This is an American hero. Period. No. Right. I'd rather be, quote, this man's alpha widow than deal with a man like that. Right. Because when you don't love a good man and you've been raised by good men, you have standards. But the main thing is, I never was going to be married. The reason this was on my mind is because I looked at myself in the mirror today and I looked at how high I had to hitch this skirt up that I had 2 years ago. I had to find a waist somewhere underneath my bra line, and it still was very long. I have changed physically. And I noticed walking around the neighborhood that men have been watching me do this work because they see what's going to eventually happen if I keep going. I figured out some other things about my diet that I can do better than what I was doing last year too. So get ready to see more transformation, not less. I realized that my life coach warned me when I was 40. And of course, we're getting to spring. In the spring, Alfred Lord Tennyson told us, as the colors turn upon the burnished dove, that's a pigeon, y'all. So in the spring, do young men's thoughts turn lightly to thoughts of love. Young men's fancies turn lightly to thoughts of love. The problem I've always had with that is love is not light in that sense. If you only have light thoughts about love, this where you're going to end up. Just know that was never for me. This is just not. Nope, no. That's where you're going. I've always put these men in the wind because it's not a light thing. Love is not a light thing. God is love, and there's nothing lighthearted about that level of responsibility. But the thought that I have, because raised the way I was raised, what's going to happen to me if it ever does is that God's going to have to send him, and all I have to do is vet out Satan's representatives. Period. That's it. And if God does not intend for me to be called to marriage, the only men that will be coming will be men that I will become good friends with, but leave right there, and Satan's representatives. That's how that is. That's how that's going to be. There will only be one exception. I'm 43 now. So if I were to get married, unless he died, really quick, I probably would not be looking to do it again. Most Black women that I know who are married to good husbands have said this to me. I loved him dearly. He was a good man. Not doing it again. Grandmother lived 38 years. She had other offers. Nope. My mom, nope. Not going to do it again. Most of my mentors, nope. And it's not like they don't have offers. Old men suddenly interested in old women because they need a place to live. Nope. 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 Not doing none of that over here. We don't have to. And I want y'all who are 18 to 25, whose brains are not even grown yet, to take this as part of your development. Be busy doing what you are called to do. And if you are meant to be married, you will not miss him. But make sure that you are about something. Spend your time being about doing something. Find out what you are meant to do and be doing that. All of us being human want to fit in and want to belong. I have a 15-year-old student who presented as her women's history presentation at our church today, bell hooks. Yes, we do things like read about the history of people like bell hooks and even Bayard Rustin at our church. That was last month. Because we read the real stories of people that did real stuff in the Black world and why they made the decisions that they made. But she had a favorite quote, and I said to her, stay with this. She explained that bell hooks favorite quotes, you have to learn how to be comfortable in solitude so you do not learn how to use people. When you meet people, you don't use them as an escape. So I said to this young lady who's doing some very deep reading for someone who's 15, 16 years old, I forget, her birthday's up in here somewhere. But I said, hey, let me save you 27 years on your life. I didn't understand what that quote meant till like this year. Get very comfortable doing what you are called to do and in your life with God in solitude so that you are not moved by needing to be with someone to escape the reality of your life. If you, because she's a Christian like myself, she's one of my students. If you learn how to stand and walk in that way, you will make many fewer mistakes. You will have less heartbreaks like I had in 2022 and 2023. I'm human too. My heart still hurts in 2024. But in the spring, I will not be making the same mistakes. I've learned. I'm glad she has a 27-year head start. She went to she was at a meeting. She wants to be a healer. Well, she's already got that capability. It's just a question of how she's going to go do it. So my pastor's daughter, one of his daughters, is a pediatrician. So she used her influence to get this young lady into a coming together of Black medical professionals so that she could begin to be exposed to that. So Pastor McNeil talked with his daughter, who's a pediatrician, and they looked at her. What does she need to do? I know there are women where these women worry about their careers, and then that's why they're not suitable for men. Gentlemen, worry about being suitable for yourself. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Get an internal locus of control. You too need to learn how to be in solitude and stop trying to use other people as an escape, criticizing women as a mistake, dropping STDs and side babies out here as an escape. Worry about yourselves. But she will be a healer no matter what modality she chooses. Remember, this is not about a career. The young lady knows she's called to be a healer. So I talked to her about, well, there's actual medical school, there's natural medicine, there's massage therapy, there's all kind of ways. So make sure to explore them all and see. Of course, there are people around her who are going to go, of course, the medical path because we have that kind of connection. And we'll do our best to make sure she gets exposed to a lot of other things too, so she can find what modality is she supposed to be a healer. But because of the way this child's personality is, if she, Auntie Love talks a lot about Black women and healing and how we back from time before time was even recorded in most history, we've been doing this, and there's no gainsaying that history at all. Probably we should say herstory here. It's Women's History, Women's Herstory Month, actually. But the point I'm making here is that she does not need to be worried about what a man is thinking about her right now. First of all, she's still a child, and if anything happens to her, that's gonna be a problem for whoever is responsible. So these little boys don't need to be thinking about it either. No, that ain't what you want. So that's another thing. For his protection, he needs to stay back. But second of all, she needs to get into the widest circles that she can so that she can meet a man who actually has prepared himself to know how to be a husband, which means steward of the massive gift that he will be receiving from the Lord if he is allowed to take her as his wife. Because the Bible says about this, the Bible does not say that a woman is fortunate to get a man at all. People love to quote that part from Isaiah. Well, in that day, 7 women will take hold of one man. I love walking up on men saying that online and saying, you do know that's because 6 out of 7 men died. And the way you talk, there's no guarantee that you are going to be one of the ones that survives, right? You need to try to get out of Isaiah chapter 3, get saved. You don't want no parts of that. You're the one that may not make it. The Bible does not say that a woman needs a husband and a woman that finds a husband finds a good thing. Nope. The Bible clearly says he who finds a wife, he who finds a wife, the burden is on the man. Finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. My grandfather obtained favor from the Lord. My father obtained favor from the Lord. And whoever it is who will be my husband, if there is such a man, he gonna get that. He's gonna obtain favor from the Lord. That's the only way that you get a woman who will not mirror your satanic fleshly desires. See, because let me say this, and I want you to quote this part to your younger nieces, daughters, okay? And a lot of you who are my peers need to hear this. The wrong man is he's not going to be Christ in your life. He's going to be Satan. The wrong man has no plan but to make you a slave to his own quest to be God. And if he can't succeed anywhere else, he's going to take all that out of you. Tell your daughters, unless you want to marry Satan's firstborn son, you have to vet these men. And if they look like they're going to be a hamper, they don't have as much going for themselves as you do, and they are showing no inclination when they meet you to close those gaps and get their lives together, all they're going to do is try to drag you into their kingdom of misery. Repeat that to the younger sisters. You think my girl students don't know? I've known some of them since they were born. And see, this is the other thing. Men who are evil really wish women my age shut up. We're not shutting up. We're not shutting up. We're not shutting up. We're letting the younger sisters know too that they can develop themselves and their lives and then meet men suitable for them. Now, when you are watching this video, I will either be or be out walking after having dealt with about multiple $1 million worth of an issue for multiple dozens of people, including some of the wonderful Black elders that I serve. I'm in senior housing. Some decisions have been taken and some things need to be announced and some people need to know what's going to happen next. And that's what I'm going to be doing. And see, at age 43, I've now been a board member for almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in August. So from 33 to 43, I have come to understand that there's a reason none of this stuff could work. Now, Sergeant Love was on that board until age and health declined. He did a lot of that work that first 8 of that first 10 years to make sure that we could have the progress we're having today. People who work side by side. So we do know that the Black community can produce men who are of this. We have some wonderful men on this board. The youngest, however, is 70. So the reality that the present state of the Black community may not produce a man suitable to me is really out there. When we have larger meetings involving larger community players up to state senators, I notice this. Very few young Black people there and no young men at all in decision-making positions. Not to say they weren't there, but they weren't in positions where they could understand what kind of mind I have. So that's on the nonprofit side of my life. And then you have this. If I can understand the crypto cycle of investment, guess what? There's not really any other cycle of investment. I talk to y'all about crypto a lot, but every year there's a cycle in chocolate. Not going to break that down right now. I'm doing one thing at a time. But I'll just tell you this, if you understand cycles of commodities, it's not investment advice, but it's just an observation. When is most chocolate sold? Between late October and, well, between Halloween and Easter. So if you go to buy a chocolate stock, when do you buy it and when do you let it go? If it's me doing it, if I know it's going to be sold in late October, I buy chocolate in fall, I sell it in the middle of spring. Whenever Easter is, Good Friday. Because it's a cycle. There are other cycles. So if you can recognize one, which is what the crypto bull run is about, and you can learn how to recognize one, you can recognize any number of them. I have that kind of ability. Meaning I'm not about to sit up and listen to someone whose only understanding of finance and be husbanded by someone who does not understand anything beyond getting a check every 2 weeks. He is not fit. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. He's just not of the mind to be able to husband me. It's not that he can't have earned income, he must. As Pastor Stephen Bailey, the Olivet Baptist Church says, you want a triple J man. Forget about him being 6 feet tall with a six-pack and a six-figure income. He needs to be Jesus, joy, and a job. But he also, in my case, needs to understand higher levels of responsibility than just, okay, worship me because I have a high-paying job. I man is 9 figures worth of stuff. If you just started making $100,000 a year and you living like a crazy consumer, that's cute. That's cute. That's good for you. That's a good accomplishment in your life, but it doesn't give you any privileges over here. That's not suitable for me. So there is a reasonable chance that if I were to get married, the Lord will have to send me someone from communities where there are people that are used to handling this level and operating in this way, most likely. And again, because Sergeant Love and my pastor and several other men who I admire exist, surely they have some representatives among their sons. It's a possibility. Now, is he going to survive Auntie Love's vetting? Probably not. She just, probably not, but that's probably equal opportunity. So, but like I said on the Aunties, y'all need to go head back and watch that. In all the males in the world, there are 4 billion, and of all those men, only one of them is right for me, meaning a lot of them are not going to survive vetting. I have another blessed block and change the lock for y'all. The next time, there is no next time. It's the higher level of the general naming block for the lower level individual. A whole lot of people are going to crash and burn. Well, you're 43. You need to be. No, I don't. I know people that asked the Lord for a husband at 77 and got husbands that love their grits. No, I don't. As a Christian woman, I have a right to Christian marriage to at least age 60. Y'all look that up sometimes. And we know this because a woman was expected, if she needed support, to be supported by a husband up to at least age 60. So up to age 60, when Paul talked about the younger widows, about how do you support older widows? Younger widows, 59, were expected to remarry if they needed additional support beyond what the community would regularly provide in Christian service. But in terms of going full time on the Christian community's dime, you had to be at least over 60. That means that the Lord had to provide good husbands who knew how to do their job to women up to age 60. Bet y'all didn't know that. I'm only 43, y'all, and y'all know black don't crack. Y'all know that. Y'all know that. Who in a hurry? My mom didn't have to be in a hurry. My grandmother didn't have to be in a hurry. When God meant for it to happen, it did. Who? Who says these little Satans run around loose? Who gave them the authority? Lord Jesus Christ said, all power in heaven and earth is given to me. So, who out there has the authority to tell me what I have to do when I have to do it? Excuse me? Excuse me? So that was my thought this morning. That was what I got during my prayer and meditation. I reviewed my family, the family history of the women that have shaped me to be the woman that I am, have informed me. That history was brought back to my memory today. This evening, I was praying to the Lord, having brought me past the point. Of course, my father is a very instrumental man in my life. I will miss him when he's gone, but I have a heavenly father, and he'll fill in the gap with himself. I don't need to have a man replace my father. It can't be done anyway. It can't be done anyway. I don't have that sense of desperation about that anymore either. Whatever God has for me will be mine. It takes no mortal man to give me anything at all. Now, there are people that God will have me choose to work with, and I'll be with them this morning. When you see this, depending on what time you see it, I'll be out doing it or out past it. And I love the men that I have as my friends and people that are my colleagues. But in terms of God not being able to provide somebody else to get his will done or just doing it himself, really? No, ain't no need to worry about that at all. And I want you to impress this on the younger sisters. Now, if you're not a Christian, you still have a purpose in the earth. There is a thing called common grace. And common grace permits you to have the sunshine and the rain and the abundance of the planet, and to go find out what you too do not need to be hooking up with these Satan men, these men and these rebel men who mean no good at all, and who mean nothing but to have a woman who is, we're going to talk about this in the next video, who is nice and agreeable to their tomfoolery. Tom, Dick, Harry, and Tariq. Foolery. Not necessary. You are called to work out your stewardship for yourself. If you're a Christian, work out your own soul salvation. You have been saved. Now go find out what God wants you to do with it. If you are not a Christian, you still have things to do under common grace, then there's room for you to do it. I know that this is not often taught, but we do know that the doctrine of common grace says, Jesus said they might have life and have it more abundantly, which indicates that there's abundance for everybody. And it is. And it is. What you do not need is a little Satan man trying to set up his throne on your back. If you are meant to be married, go do what you're supposed to do. And the man who's doing what he's supposed to do, who's supposed to have you as mate, will find you. He who finds a wife, meaning he needs to be looking with intent. Now, I have another little video to do with that. We're going to try to get a whole bunch of videos done this next couple days, because this week, I'm previewing something I'm doing. I'm going to be doing crypto coaching in the spring with those of you who have read the book and want to be walked through some things that'll be coming up. We're going to have that. It's going to be at a price that I think is affordable to you. If you see the value in the book, it'll fit in there very nicely. But I'm going to be starting that this week, and then it's just allergy season is coming, so I have to do things when my voice is ready. But that thought about intent, we'll come back to it for tomorrow. And I have another Blessed Block Change the Lock for you today that I'm going to record next. But y'all have a good day. You'll see that later this afternoon. There may or may not, well, depending on how long this particular meeting lasts, because sometimes working with seniors is for real, for real. It's for real, for real, for real, for real. Most people on the board itself are senior citizens. We minister to senior citizens. Working for senior citizens is for real, for real. Working with senior citizens is for real, for real. But there may be on a climb today. And if there is, the Blessed Block and Change the Lock you see will be reserved to tomorrow. All right. Y'all have a good day now. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.